Hey, everybody. Welcome to another Playful Humans podcast. I'm your host, Mike Montague, and my guest this week is Director of Media for the Maryville University Esports Program. They are three-time national champions. His name is Jordan Ousley. Jordan, welcome to the show.
How's it going?
Good. And if you need to find out more about them, best thing is to check them out. Maryville GG on the social medias, and they have a YouTube channel where they stream and I'm sure do their events. But we'll get into all of that here in the show. It's the Playful Humans podcast. Find us at playfulhumans.com. There's a quiz you can take about your playful personality and find other cool people doing fun things. Here we go. Now just the woohoos. All right, Jordan, welcome. We like to start with the joke of the week here. The joke of the week is brought to you by auctions. I was hooked on going to auctions after going once, going twice. Okay.
Nice.
The joke of the week, they don't get much better either. A priest, a minister, and a rabbit walk into a blood bank. They ask what type of blood type the rabbit is, and he said he's a type O. There you go.
I like it. That's
Priest,
good.
minister, and a rabbit. The rabbit is a typo. There you go. Okay. Do you have a joke for us?
Yeah, actually, mine comes from my grandpa. My grandpa is very notorious for telling me all sorts of dad jokes. We have dinner with him every Saturday night when I live back in KC, so it's always fun. But his go-to is always, why did the golfer bring two pairs of pants to the course?
I don't know. Why?
In case he got a hole in one.
Yeah, for sure. That's a good one. I heard another good dad joke. We're on vacation with my father-in-law. If the server asks you if you want a box for your leftovers, you say no, but I'll wrestle you for them.
Nice.
Good.
Nice.
So speaking of sports and esports, you are working with the Maryville Collegiate team, and
Yep.
I don't think a lot of adults now realize that like esports is a thing and it's a professional thing now that you can actually play for a living and play
Sure.
video games
Yep.
for a living. Tell us about the esports program, how long it's been around, and you're a three-time national champions over there. So I'm imagining it's for a few years now. You've been doing this.
Yeah. So esports in general has been around for, we're pushing 10, 12 years. Like it's been a thing for a while, and it's slowly just starting to become more developed into really aligning itself alongside traditional sports now and how popular it is. I've been at Maryville University as the Director of Media since the summer of 2019. I moved out to St. Louis from Kansas City, which is where I was born and raised. And Maryville itself has had an esports program since the start of 2015. So they've been around for a while. They were one of the first collegiate programs in the country, one of the first programs to offer scholarships in the country. They started the program in 2015 and won the national championship in 2015. And then we've just been, winning and winning ever since. So it's been a crazy ride.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
I'm assuming that you played a lot. What games are you playing, and how do the competitions work? I've watched some documentaries and stuff, but I've kind of too old. I'll also famously, Jordan, I should admit straight up front, the one regret my brother and I have from our childhood, we were completely blessed, amazing. I grew up here in Kansas City as well, in the suburbs, and just beautiful time. We had a pool in the backyard. Life was great, but our parents would not buy us a Nintendo. And so I have sucked at video games ever since. I'm the guy that respawned in Bond in college and just got shot in the face in 3 seconds.
Yeah.
I'm terrible at it. So help us that are not good.
Sure.
Fill out what it looks like. Yeah.
Yeah. So I've been gaming as long as I can remember. I think the first thing I ever got was a Game Boy Color, got Pokemon Blue, played that. I think I got that for like my 8th birthday or something, like a long time ago. And I've just been gaming ever since. It really did start out like a lot of single player games, Nintendo 64, PlayStation, Xbox, all that stuff. And then the world of like online video games kind of came in when I remember watching my dad play like Quake with his like work buddies like late at night, and I'd be like, wow, this is so cool. Like you're talking to them and like playing the same server as them and like playing with them. So that was really cool. And then it's just kind of like ramped up from there. Like I've been gaming for as long as I can remember. And then I started to get into more like FPS games, which just like stands for first person shooter games. And that's where I sort of like really started to appreciate like the competitive side, because not everybody can like gather that skill, like that, the hand-eye coordination, the reaction speed and all that stuff to really kind of compete at like a higher level. And I was like by no means ever really that high skilled, but I did play, like I did compete at like the very lowest tiers of like competition that you could compete at. And then yeah, it was it's just been kind of a ramp up ever since. I've been gaming, like I said, for as long as I can remember. So it's been a fun ride.
So I guess I want to ask one more, or maybe make a comment and then ask one more question about that before we talk into like how when you figured out you could do it for a living or make money at it and things like that, because there have been competitions for a long time, like Tetris. There were gaming competitions where you could win cash and prizes, and people could be professional players just like they do with poker or any other game. There are tournaments where you could win enough money to be a professional. So when do you think that kind of became like a thing to now at the point where there are multiple people? It's kind of like YouTube and influencers where people, there might have been one person making money at it 10, 20 years ago, but now hundreds, thousands of people are making full-time careers around esports.
Yeah, I think as just video games in general have developed, as developers have sort of taken a step back and kind of, everything's slowly becoming not even just like a experience, like they're trying to like create an experience for gamers, but they're also trying to create a scene where like they can get as many people playing their game as possible, and how to, monetize that as well. So, I think, thinking back, like the old Halo days where there was just like, a bunch of people set up in a hotel ballroom with, CRT TVs, and they were playing for, a $5,000 cash prize was like the, grand prize 10 years ago. And now like you look at some of the bigger tournaments and you're talking like millions and millions and millions of dollars for the cash prize. And that's just to win the prize. That's not even talking about like what the players are actually getting like the contracts that they're signing and, their buyouts and like what their salaries are and stuff. So esports, like I said, has been just like a steady ramp up to the point where like now, like you look at like, overseas and stuff where like traditional sports isn't as popular over there, but like League of Legends, for example, is like a national sport over there. So like it just keeps getting more and more popular. Like right now, the League of Legends World Championship is going on, which is like one of the most watched esports events in the world. So that's a very cool event that is hosted by Riot Games, and that's happening right now. So esports is just growing. It's crazy.
That's the one I watched the documentary on, and I don't think people quite realize, or at least the mainstream media, that like when you say a lot of people are most watched or something, we're talking about millions of people at this point.
Absolutely.
Like it's not quite like Super Bowl level, but it's up there past like a lot of other things, like past World Series and other NHL hockey finals and things, especially global audiences like you mentioned, when they're hundreds of thousands of people in the stands watching this and millions of people watching online.
Right. Well, and like there's stats that can't even be tracked. Like there's sites like, overseas that host the games over there that you can't even like get the numbers on, because they're just like sites that like we don't even have access to over here. So it's like the numbers that you see on like American sites here are just like a drop in the pond compared to like what's over there. So it's the viewership is just increasing every single year. And to counter that though, like there are games where they've had a crazy ramp up now, and like some games are taking over. So it's a very competitive space on like what games are like performing well within the audiences and stuff. So
yeah, I think that's really interesting too. It basically becomes like any sport where people are cheering for incredible moves and athletics or strategy and things in games and stuff that makes a ton of sense for me. I'm wondering about for you as a player, but also, as director of media, I'm assuming that you're one of the people trying to capture this and stuff as well. So what does that look like as far as the storytelling, and what makes it so fun and entertaining for the players and for the people watching?
Yeah, I think for me, like one thing that I really take pride in my job is like I'm, you know, taking the collegiate side of things out of it, because collegiate is very new compared to the everything else. It's like this is, we've had football and baseball and all these other sports for 100 years. Like it's been around forever, and esports is just so new. But as it's continued to develop and as big as it's gotten in such a short period of time, it's like there's not a lot of stuff out there on it. Like there's not a lot of like documentaries out there, or just a lot out there. So I think it's just really cool to be in a space and in a position like I am, where I'm able to tell the stories of like these players, this Maryville program, where we've started, the hardships that we go through, the highs and the lows. I think it's like that's the most rewarding part for me, is to really kind of capture everything that is happening within what we were doing. So
yeah, you're in a really cool spot, because I think it's one of those things when you look back, 100 years later at like the starts of basketball or something, you're capturing the first collegiate national champion. Like that's pretty cool stuff that people will be showing that footage and stuff, the grainy footage in HD.
Hopefully they're playing my video 25 years from now. Like that's the goal,
that could be really cool. And also I think the ramp up of this is so amazing to me that, you were talking about a steady increase, but especially with COVID, e-games, jumped like 50% because people couldn't go out and play sports or team things and stuff. But it was something that you could continue to do during the pandemic.
Yep.
More people found it, more people watched it. And it's an incredible rise really fast over the last 5-10 years, but especially the last, 2. Can you talk a little bit about what that has meant?
Yeah, COVID definitely, it was tough. And like, I don't know, it's a weird subject, because everything for the most part is online for esports, like but there is that like in-person LAN experience that like you can't get anywhere else. So when the pandemic hit and all these developers, or a lot of them were like mid-season, obviously a lot of things kind of just went on hold for a while. Like we were mid-competition, and we just had our whole season basically canceled. But like in terms of collegiate, we're much lower on the tier of like priority when it comes to like what the pros are doing and stuff. So but yeah, a lot of people just like hit pause for a while, and then they just resumed all competition, but everything was happening online. So a lot of these developers and broadcasters and everything kind of had to figure out how to pivot from hosting all of their tournaments and stuff in person in their own studios, like in LA or like wherever they were at, to like now having all of their broadcasters and talent and everybody just doing what we're doing here, like on a Zoom call, like trying to figure out how to get the best possible product out to everybody that still wanted to watch. And there was a lot of issues with him at that, because steady internet connection and all that stuff was definitely like a factor. So now that things have gotten a little bit better, there's competition that's coming back in person, which is very exciting. We just at Maryville, we just had our first in-person event over the summer here in St. Louis that we hosted, or we helped host as Maryville, called the Gateway Legends Invitational, which was a 16-team collegiate invitational hosted at Ballpark Village downtown. That was really fun. And then competition is slowly coming back. We're leaving this coming weekend. We're going to Illinois State University for their event that they're hosting. So in-person events are back, and it's exciting to kind of get back to where we left off.
Yeah, I think that's really cool and exciting, I'm sure, for everybody. I guess one of the other things I noticed about esports is it's probably one of the more inclusive sports. So you've already mentioned the international reach of it and stuff. How did you and Maryville, put together a championship team so fast, and talk about maybe some of the stories of the players, like where they come from and how these players become professionals or even just national champions?
Sure. So without butchering the origin story, because I don't know it completely, but my boss, Daniel Clark, he's worked in pro esports for a really long time. He was going to Maryville to finish his degree, and he went to the president and basically brought the idea of esports to President Mark Lombardi at Maryville University, and kind of told him all about it. And Mark was like, how do we how do we make this happen? Like, how do we get it here? And Dan said, give me 5 full rides. I'll get a team and we'll win the championship. And that's just what he did. Dan recruited, just like you would recruit for any other traditional team. You go out, you scout players. In the game League of Legends, you have, like any other sport, you have certain positions that you're scouting for. And each person plays a role in that team. So you're not going to look for a wide receiver who can play quarterback. It's like you have your specific role that you're really good at, and that's what you're looking for when you're recruiting. So so he got 5 players. One of them is actually my boss / roommate, Andrew Smith. He was a player at Maryville for 4 years. And now he's our assistant director of the program. So he handles a lot of like the day-to-day academics, making sure students are doing what they're doing. So you get students from all over. Like, I think that's a big kind of difference with us is like, I don't think we have a single player from the St. Louis area. Like, everybody's from all over. We have a couple of students from like the UK area. We have a couple students from like Australia. Like, we have students from all over that are coming to not only like compete, but also to like work on and earn their degree while doing so.
That's really cool. And what about you specifically? How did you find it? And when did you realize you could do this for a living? Because I think a lot of people, like anything in the people that I interview, right? I interview athletes and entertainers and jugglers and magicians and comedians. People are like, well, I kind of know that's a thing, but I didn't really believe it was possible for me. Did you ever like have a real job or go to school for something else or and find it? Or were you lucky enough to just land in the right spot at the right time and do this for your whole career?
I was certainly lucky. Like, and I say this all the time, like getting into the esports world, it's getting easier because companies and people that are getting involved and putting money into esports are just naturally getting bigger and they need more employees. So like, 5-10 years ago, you'd have just like a team coach and like a general manager of the team. And like, you wouldn't really have all like the, accounting and creative side of everything. So I definitely did get lucky. So I went to Missouri State University in Springfield. I got my degree in film there. And like I said, I've been gaming my whole life. So I never really started following esports too closely until right around the time that I was graduating, like 2015-ish. And at that time I was like, man, this is really cool. Like it's something that's like interesting to me because again, like I was, competing at like a very low level. So to see like there's players out there that were competing at a really high level. And, it's like, if you're somebody who enjoys watching baseball and like you watch a pro baseball player, it's like, you want to be like them. Like you like playing the game and you want to hit home runs like them. It's like, you want to be as good as them. So like you watch these players compete and you're like, man, I want to be like that. So, so esports was really cool. And then, at the time, there were very few organizations that were actually doing like media and like videos related to esports, but like I would just watch them and I'd be like enamored at like how cool like this sort of behind the scenes look at, because again, like I was in a position where like I wanted to be pro and like I wanted to do this. So to see like the kind of behind the scenes look at what they were doing was such a cool experience for me. And I was like maybe I'll never be good enough to like be pro, but like I could do this. Like, I know how to use a camera. Like, I know how to run interviews and set up lighting and stuff. So like, this is really cool. Like, I think that this is cool. So then, I remember telling my friend, his name's Jordan Payton. He's from Kansas City. He goes by the tag Legion, Legiqn. He's a content creator and a Twitch streamer. And he has always been in the gaming industry as well, a lot. And he's like, hey, I'm going out to St. Louis for this Halo event. And I'm like a floor hoster, I think. And he was like, do you want to come out, sleep on my hotel floor and like just shoot for your portfolio? And I was like, yeah, that sounds great. And so out there, I had the opportunity to really be at my first event and I loved it. Like I was taking pictures of the players playing, taking some video, meeting like some of the casters and some of the talent, just kind of meeting everybody that was involved. It was really cool. And I was like, okay, this is what I want to do. Like, this is really awesome. So then I went to another event with the same people that hosted that event. And then at that event, I met my old boss. His name's John Dehart. And he was the creative director of a esports organization called eUnited. And they were like, hey, we're looking for a videographer. Are you interested? And I was like, absolutely. Like, I want to do it. And at the time, like, like the pay wasn't great, but I was like, I don't care. Like, I just want to do this. And then a couple months later, they were sending me out to Dallas for my first event. And then I was out in Dallas I actually filmed 2 events in Dallas and back-to-back weekends. And then for the next 2 years, I basically traveled the country, traveled the world with eUnited as like their videographer. So I would go to eUnited as an organization is basically like, it's kind of hard to explain in traditional sports terms, but they're basically like an umbrella organization that has teams from all different games. So like you have like a Rocket League team or like a CSGO team or a Call of Duty team or a Halo team. All of these guys can wear the eUnited brand essentially. So I would go all over the country. I've been to Poland, Germany, multiple places in the US, and I basically travel with the team, film documentary type videos and really capture what like a weekend at an event would look like and kind of that behind the scenes look. So I did that for 2 years and I loved every second of it. It was awesome. So that's kind of how I got my start and where I ended up.
Yeah, well, I think it makes a ton of sense. And I learned a lot from your story there that just applies to everything else. You know, I did radio here in Kansas City. I was on Mix 93.3 and stuff.
Sure.
And people ask me the same thing. They're like, well, how do you get your own show? I go, well, you don't just show up and get your own show. Like you start, you know, DJing in special events or on the weekends or for parties, and you take crappy jobs and then you get slightly less crappy jobs. It sounds like you got some really cool opportunities right off the start, which is awesome, but you have to start doing it. And once you start doing it, you meet the right people and you get more opportunities and better opportunities and you learn and grow.
It's like any other job, like networking and getting to know people and working your way up. It's really how you start. Like I wouldn't have the position I'm at Maryville now as the director of media if I didn't start, you know, with the travel. And don't get me wrong, I love the travel. Like I went from somebody who didn't like getting on a plane to basically being gone 2 to 3 weekends out of the month. Like I think I went to something like 50 something events in 2 years. Like I went all over. So I definitely started where like, you know, you kind of, it was exhausting, but you know, you start low and then you just kind of work your way up the chain, you meet people, you network, and you get to where you want to be. So, and then, like I said, I'm really happy with where I'm at Maryville now. So it's great.
Awesome. Well, congratulations. And again, thanks for spending some time with us and talking about it a little bit. If you want to find the Maryville team, it's at Maryville GG on the social media. Jordan, where can people find you?
That's kind of my own like personal portfolio. Honestly, everything I do is there. If you want to check out my Twitter, it's at Shipley with 2 E's, SHIPLEE TV on Twitter. I'm also on Instagram at Jordan Ousley. I don't post much on there, but yeah, everything that I've been doing for the last almost 2 years has kind of just been fully directed at everything Maryville. So I'm really excited with what we're building there. I'm excited. We got a lot of cool things in the pipeline coming up. So I'm excited to kind of see how that develops. And yeah, we're definitely going to be a name to be known for quite a long time. So
that's awesome. It's so cool. Go check it out and see what they're doing over there at Maryville GG. And do you want to play a game?
Sure. Let's do it.
All right. We're going to spin our prize wheel. There are 10 games on here that it could land on. And you got, movie trivia. This is one of our new games. It's a little tough. I'm going to be honest.
All right.
They're not recent movies, so keep that in mind here. But I'll give you 3 questions. You get 2 out of 3. You win. How about that?
Sounds good.
All right. Let's see. What was Mark Wahlberg's character's name in Boogie Nights? Did you see Boogie Nights?
Man, that's a long time ago. Mark Wahlberg and Boogie Nights. Man, I don't know. That's a tough. That's like, I don't know when that came out, like the 90s. Like might be a little bit older than me.
All right, that was Dirk Diggler.
Dirk Diggler. Dang,
remember that one. All right. Also, an old one here, but name an actor who sparred on screen with Dolph Lundgren, Mr. T, and Carl Weathers.
Is that A-Team? Is that? No, not Carl Weathers. Hold on. Is this? I know Carl Weathers was in Rocky. Is this Sylvester Stallone?
Yes, there you go.
All right. See, I'm not too bad.
Sylvester Stallone. All right, now this one, I think we're ending with the easiest one
good
here. But when Tom Cruise danced in his underwear in Risky Business in the 80s, do you know what tune was playing?
Oh, man. I can like hear it in my... Yeah. If you play it for me, I know I like can hum along and everything, but I just don't know the name of it.
That's the old time rock and roll.
Old time rock and roll. Yep, that sounds right.
All right.
Dang.
Nicely done. Thanks for playing. Those were tough. 1 out of 3 is not bad there.
Not bad.
I would have played you in a video game online. We should have.
Yeah, exactly. The next time, that's what we'll have to do. We'll have to 1v1 and something.
Do that for sure. Anything else anybody listening can do to help you, or anything that you recommend that they check out?
No, I think I just tell people, like, if they don't know much about esports, like, keep an open mind. It's definitely a very bizarre concept when you think like these players are getting paid to play video games, but people are getting paid to play football. People are getting paid to, shoot pool or play poker. Like, it's, everybody has their talents and their skills. And I think esports is an exciting field and a really cool opportunity for a lot of people. So, just keep an open mind, check some events out. Twitch.tv is a really awesome place where you can watch events and things that are happening right now. So head over there, check it out. But yeah, esports is awesome. Keep an open mind.
Awesome. Thanks again. Jordan Ousley, the Director of Media for the Maryville University Esports Program. They're 3-time national champions, and they've won like 17 major champions. So it's a great group there and a fun thing to follow. Go check them out and check out Playful Humans at playfulhumans.com. Pretty easy to remember there, but also you can find this podcast on any app you listen to podcast on. Search for it, subscribe, shoot us a comment, leave us a suggestion for future guests. If you know anybody cool, I want to talk to them.
Don't wait for tomorrow, live for today, keep on chasing the sunshine and go out and play.
Go play, everybody.